Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Into the River, Land of Confusion. This is episode 10. This is going to be my final episode. I might have an 11 bonus with my mother because she has been here for me from the start. She knows this place very well from my stories and has helped me through a lot of the experiences. But she has recently joined into Brad's chat and my Misfits chat, and she has gotten firsthand experience and the type of shenanigans that happen in the Tori Says realm and by her little fun minions. So I'm really excited to kind of unwind and decompress with her and just have a finale and talk about what it was like for an outsider, for a family member who's watched someone go through this experience and seen, all the struggles and hardships that came with something that I thought was just a patriot community where I was there to help my country, and it turned out to be something quite different. So look forward to that episode 11, kind of bonus episode, but this is going to be my final on this series as far as the interviews and all of that go. So this is the end of my journey, or at least up to date where it is right now. When I started this series, it wasn't a series, it was supposed to be a solo episode, and I just wanted to share what I was just coming out of. And I'm actually kind of interested to go watch that original one to see how I have changed drastically since then, because it has been quite the process. When I originally started it, it was meant to just tell my story, because that's what I do on my podcast, is just talk about what's going on. I created a podcast a couple years ago just so that I could have a place to have the difficult discussions about 2020, about the COVID stuff, about everything that was going on in the world, because, a lot of my people in my life didn't really understand or see things the way that I did. So I was like, screw it. I need to talk to people about it. I'm going to start a podcast. I found interesting people online. I started reaching out to them, and surprisingly, a lot of people said yes. And I made a lot of really good friendships through that experience. So I'm glad that I put myself out there and tried something new. The whole time, it has just been a place for me to process. I have interviewed quite a few people just to hear their stories, people that I'm interested in, whether it be nurses that got fired from the hospitals, or people who want to talk about spirituality and all kinds of things. And I have my whole journey, my whole life just right out there in the open for everyone to see the progression, the changes that I've made over time. So that's kind of what my podcast was. This breakaway series is only on YouTube. I didn't want to put it on all the Apple and Spotify and stuff for my regular listeners, because it was totally random and they probably wouldn't even understand what the hell I was talking about, let alone want to sift through 10 episodes of this specific topic of the Tori community. So as I was making that video, I uploaded the first half of it, and then I realized that before I uploaded the second half, people started reaching out to me immediately. I did not understand it would get the traction that it did. I knew it would get some eyes on it for sure, but as being a banned person in the community, and I knew that if I would have dropped the episode in, I think I might have dropped it once in the beginning, or a clip from it, and it was like deleted in seconds. So I knew I couldn't share it with the people in the community, because free speech is not allowed and people aren't allowed to form their own opinions about things there. So I was a little surprised when it got as much traction as it did. I was also not so much surprised, but in a good way, overwhelmed at the level of support and the amount of people who felt that they were alone and saw my videos with these people and these interviews and were super relieved that they weren't. And next thing you know, my DMs are getting flooded with so many stories, everyone sharing everything that they've experienced in their states all over the country. These stories range from really, really horrible things that I'm not allowed to repeat because there could be legal consequences, and I hope that there are. And some people are afraid. Some people are still in the community and don't want anything bad to come towards them. A lot of members are very quiet publicly right now because they enjoy their state groups. They enjoy the people that are in those groups, their actual community, and they know that if they're vocal about any of their actual thoughts and feelings, that they'll probably be banned, and they don't want to lose friendships. So I do understand and respect that. The point is, so many people reached out. Another thing I witnessed throughout watching people do these interviews was people started to find courage and a community, which was really beautiful. When you realize that you're not alone and there's a space for you to gather, um, it's easier to start to talk. It's like someone has to go in the water first and make sure it's safe, and then people naturally will follow. And it turned into this incredible thing in Brad's chat. So when I saw Brad's, I think it was a video he did, man, over a month ago. Time has totally flown by. He was kind of just calling out some of the stuff that was going on in his staterooms, and he shared that in his episode on the podcast. And when I saw it, I was like, there's someone else speaking, because one, how do you find each other? Two, it takes courage. It takes courage to be vocal about things that are wrong, especially knowing that you're probably going to be banned or mistreated or worse. So when I saw him being vocal, I was so excited, and we became friends. We started talking, and he converted his chat space, which had nothing but Tory clips that he'd been working on for a year and a half, into a space where he was just being honest and exploring the questions that he had. And people naturally were drawn to that space because a lot of others had that same issue. So him and I coming together was a match made in heaven. It was such a gift from God, and I'm so grateful that we found each other, and this little community was formed in his chat. It got bad quick. I knew it would, because we all know the tactics that these people, these admins or little Tory fanatics like to use. They come over and they try to tear everyone down. They try to use the same tactics they use within her community, where they have the ability to ban, but they don't want, it's not enough that you don't say what you want there. They want to go find you wherever else you are and make sure that you don't say anything anywhere in the world. It's very disturbing and devious behavior, but we persisted. We had some people that were from within who I think might be good people, and probably are, who decided they wanted to shift and create their own agenda and turn it into something that they wanted, and to insert another influencer in the space. And that turned into a whole thing as well, because people weren't really receiving it or open to it too much, but they were pretty much hell-bent on forcing their way. That fizzled out. And then last night we have this experience where one of Tori's admins comes in, and I think that she was in the chat for 13 hours, maybe 10 to 13 hours. But then we started a group call, and I guess she was in there for a few more hours. I stayed for a while. I ended up leaving when I realized it was unproductive and that she was completely full of shit. But yeah, that kind of blew up in everyone's face yesterday. It made me realize that these people are never going to be satisfied. They're never going to stop trying to get people to talk, just like they do in our staterooms, where you form bonds with one another. They want to make sure that they intercept it, or they are in control of it, watching over it, subverting it, spreading lies about people to the point where you don't trust your own friends, you don't trust your neighbor, and it turns into this whole thing. This is just across the board what I have seen. I can't say it happens in every single state, but I will say that I've had so many states come out that it's just too many instances to be a coincidence, in my opinion. So after all of that, I decided that space, it's constantly going to experience this. And I had a discussion with Brad, and, I think he understood the depth that they would go to, the level that they would just be relentless and never quit. And so he agreed to let us set some parameters in that space. So right now, for those of you who are listening, who are interested in at least going and seeing what people are talking about, where there's literally no topics off limit. You can talk about Tory, you can unwind, you can laugh, you can joke, you can share news, like all of that is in his chat. And I recommend that you go. Finally, I mean, if you're one of the people that left because of the drama, we're trying to clean that up. I have given that room another week of my time, where I am going to try to help clean it up. We separated the chat from the channel, so we don't get the lurkers now, only the ones from within, but they have to be quiet. They can't be too much of an asshole, or we will eventually boot them out, because as much as we all love free speech, there are people who want to abuse these beautiful things that we have and use them to silence the voice of others or to just exhaust them with emotional and mental terrorism. So we are just gonna clean that space up. So if you have left, I would ask you, if you're looking for a community, give it a shot again. We'll see how it goes. I have confidence that we can kind of maintain it. And, people get warnings if they're just there to shit on everyone else's experience, and their time will be short lived. So there's that happening. On the other end, there is my chat. It's a Misfits chat. I removed it from the channel. It's just a small group. There's like 32 of us in there, and it's becoming quite a tight knit little family. Brad's chat is going to be a lot of news and ideas about moving forward, how to help your country, a lot of really good debates and discussions. My chat is going to be more on the emotional side. It's mostly women, but we do have some men in there holding down the fort. And we are just talking about what we're experiencing, the stages of healing, grief, anger. We laugh, we make fun of dumb people. We are just getting along. We talk about dogs, we talk about cooking, we talk about nature, we talk about whatever the hell we want. So it's a very, very nice safe space. And I am a firm believer that there should be a space for healing. I see it kind of as a recovery room. And if you've been in any of these chats and you've seen people mock you or myself or others for needing healing or needing a safe space or needing to be in recovery and telling you to get over it and stop being whiny, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge that that's complete and utter bullshit. And no one has the right to tell you how you should or can or will be able to process something that you have gone through personally. So I don't think that healing is something to be ashamed about. I don't think anger, sadness, the stages of all of that is something to be embarrassed by. It's messy, it's ugly, but it's real. And I am a firm believer in living authentically, even if it means that everyone sees my flaws and I'm just being looked at by all these observers. I believe that living and sharing our human experience of what we're going through in real time is a very powerful thing to help others not feel alone and to know that it's not always pretty. But what do? We get through it. There's a lot of people in this world that like to portray a side of themselves. It's one of the things I've had a struggle with on Instagram and social media in general since it started, is that it's like this perfect version of your life. And I've never really embraced that way of thinking. I've always just been very open and out there, which means you're going to see all my sides. But somebody's got to do it. I just want to talk about what this experience has been like for me. So if you do want to join Brad Chat, it is getting better. We're going to handle the bullshit. Can't stop lurkers, but we can at least muzzle them a little bit. As far as my chat, if you want to join that, reach out to me on Telegram, Instagram, DM me, email me, whatever. Talk to someone else who knows me and we will get you hooked up in my chat. Moving on. This experience has been so wild. So when I first left, I talked about it in the first episode. I felt really devastated. And then my next feeling was extreme relief once I started to put the pieces together that Tori at least lies. And I have a firm, like, don't lie to me kind of a thing. And I understand that there's ways around that. Misinformation is necessary and all these manipulative things these types say to cover their own ass instead of just saying, sometimes I lie to you or sometimes I was wrong. Once I realized she was blatantly lying about something that didn't affect anyone for the better in any kind of way, yeah, I felt free. I felt like all of this time, all the questions I had, all the confusion I had about things, the things that didn't add up, I could finally throw into the mix. What if Tori is not here for what she claims she's here for, which would be to seek redemption and to make up for all of the crimes that she's committed against other nations, against our country, and all of that. Once I realized that maybe she's still engaging in something nefarious and her intentions might not be to help us or to save our country, it was really nice. I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I've been in this experience with these other people that all showed up with good intentions to save our country or to work towards saving our country. And we were just treated like shit all the time, especially if we told the truth or if we stood up for another person. Um, I thought that all of that fighting and all of that was everyone but Tori. And once I realized that I could factor her in, I was like, I get to walk away now. I get to be free. And I had like a week of just amazing, amazing freedom. It was like I stopped looking at my phone and I started looking at the world. And all of a sudden, it was like I could breathe again. I felt more in my body, less in my mind. I felt like there was strongholds being broken. There was like, for lack of a better word, spells being broken. Just shutting off her show alone had a really, really positive impact on my mental health, my body, my spirit, my soul, everything. Um, and then, you know, everyone started coming to my door, and I'm grateful for it. And I feel and I felt very strongly that I felt a sense of commitment to those people. I knew it wouldn't last forever. I knew I was also going to go through my own healing experience, but I wanted to do it openly. I wanted to do it with others and not just leave people hanging in the balance without anyone kind of there to help bring us together, to help create solutions, to hold a space. I think it's very important because there's a need for this. There's so many that haven't even come forward. The ones that have, there's hundreds of us. So, due to that, due to hearing all the stories, it kind of started propelling my grief process really quickly or it slowed it down. I'm not really sure how long it would have taken had I not had this experience, but either way, I'm grateful for it. It got to the point where hearing everyone's stories and some of the heinous, dark things that they were subjected to by these quote patriots or people here to save our country, um, the anger started to kick in. And the anger and sadness for me are usually right next to each other. I have been through divorces. I have been through leaving cults. I have packed a lot of life into 40 years. And one thing I know is there's certain patterns that happen over time. And one thing I've learned is my process of grief. And this felt very much like a death, like a divorce, like leaving a cult. And I knew that there was certain things I was going to have to expect. One of those being when you leave a cult or a space where everyone kind of has groupthink and you're very restricted and you can't step out of line and there's a lot of rules. When you leave a space like that, one, you're going to lose friends. You're going to be attacked. You're going to be, well, they try to excommunicate you pretty much, like to ignore your voice, to make you isolated, completely alone, and then start building a narrative around you because God forbid other people would talk to you like a human and be your friend, regardless of the fact that you're not in the cult. So I expected that. It was minimal at best. And I'm not saying I didn't lose good friends because I did. But that's just par for the course. I was surprised by the ones that I did lose and the ones who showed up and were there for the process to be there with me and for me. And you're always surprised, just like in 2020 when I woke up. If you would have told me in 2019, hey, there's going to be this crazy thing that's going to happen and no one's going to believe you, that the government is lying, and you tell all of your friends the truth and you show them all the data. If they would have told me that and asked which friends would believe you, I would have been dead wrong, because the people that I pegged as the most intelligent, and I believe that they are, back in 2020, my healthiest friends, my I don't know, the types that were always against the system and all of that, those were the ones that clung to it the most. And then I saw people I never saw coming out of left field that were like, dude, this is crazy. Do you see it? And I was like, whoa. So it's kind of interesting how you get surprised when the shit hits the fan, who people really are. But either way, just like in 2020, as painful as that is, I am very grateful to know who my friends are. And for those that didn't make it through, maybe we'll catch each other on the other side. But yeah, I learned a lot. So you expect that when you're leaving a cult. The other thing that I expected was the stages of grief. And some people might not understand grief when leaving a community. Yeah, there's grief. And for me, everyone's going to feel it different. It's going to hit them different. But for me, it was because I put so much of my trust into this woman. Couldn't stop listening to her. Like, if my parents were here, I had her on in the background. Like, I couldn't just walk away, couldn't miss a show. I felt like I was going to miss something very important. And this was like 3 years now of not missing a show, listening to some multiple times. Because of the experiences I've had, I know my grief process very well. And so I knew that I was going to walk through the stages. I also know that anger is usually my last stage. That's right before acceptance. I also know that anger and sadness for me are very close. And that's probably the messiest part of my process. I've been so angry with Tori. It's kind of crazy. Someone I've never met. The level of anger I feel towards this woman, which is starting to subside, which is why I'm doing this video, because I know I'm nearing the end, but it's pretty big. The reasons I'm pissed at this woman, and I have dug into some things about her and all this, and some people go that route, and I think there's so many things there that are very important. I personally have no desire to unmask Tori or to figure out who the fuck she is. I do have a desire, on the other hand, to maybe sweep up some of the mess and the damage that she and her little minions have created. I've experienced it, and hearing all of the stories is really where the anger started, to see the damage that she's done, whether directly or indirectly, it does not matter. If this was a business and the CEO was allowing their upper management to do illegal things or harmful things or whatever, and the CEO didn't handle it, it's on the CEO, especially if they're privy to it. And Tori is privy to everything that's going on a much deeper level than I actually realized at the beginning of this. So I'm going to blame her. I'm no longer mad at the admins in my state group. I'm no longer mad at Tori's admins. I think that they are deceptive. I think some of them are dangerous. I think that they use tactics that feel very military, psychological. They feel like they've been trained. I can't say that for sure, but that's what it feels like. These tactics are to break people down, to circle them, to attack them constantly in every possible way you can think of, to demoralize them until they either lose their shit and go crazy, and then they mock you for losing your shit and having an emotional response to being called horrible things that you are not in front of a big audience. They have tactics to silence you if you don't fall prey to their things, and a lot more that has reached people's homes, people's phones, people's cars, people's children, that I won't discuss. It gets bad. So knowing all of these things, I'm just getting fucking livid. Like, every day I'm hearing these stories and watching the fear in some people and watching the heartbreak in some people. It's getting worse, my anger. Similar to how I felt about some of these people in government during 2020, 2021, when they were enforcing these draconian laws and rules on the people as though they were our rulers. I chose to live it out publicly. I chose to be there in the thick of it. And I knew I was going to. I knew I was going to see this thing through. I knew that I wasn't going to leave everyone high and dry, because I needed people. I think people needed me. People needed each other. And so I went through it, engaging in all of the messiness, being judged, being looked at, being observed, of course, by all these people, when all I really wanted to do was be free, like I was a couple weeks prior. I knew that I wanted to go back through this, retrace my steps. I needed to figure some things out, to let the wound be open for a while and air out, instead of just tightening it up and running away with my tail between my legs. It's not my style. So yeah, we've been through some shit. We've had some attacks. We've had some infighting. We've had some I've had some breakdowns. I've had some meltdowns, whether it be in anger, whether it be in tears and bawling on voice chats. It's just what it really looks like. And I'm not ashamed of that. If you're feeling any of those things, please don't be ashamed. It's normal. You've been through a psychological operation that has an intention, in my opinion, to demoralize the people, to take some of the best and brightest and smartest in our country who care the most about freedom and about their children and about correcting this and some of the things that are going wrong. And you have been hijacked by a lying, deceiving snake with a platform and a microphone who told you she was one thing, but is not that thing. That is fully what I believe. She is one of the most nasty, deceptive people I have ever encountered. And I'm not sure if I was just blind to seeing it, if I was so biased that I missed it. But the second that I had my eyes opened and caught her in a lie, I couldn't unsee any of it. I started getting these little nudges or instincts to go look from time to time at her shows. And all I heard was lie after lie after lie after lie. And again, nastiness. She is appearing to be obsessed with influencer wars. There's all of these people. I'm not going to name them. If you're in the community, you know everything that I'm talking about. She is obsessed with high school level, even more embarrassing than high school level drama, gossip, mean girl bullshit, going after these people. She encourages everyone to behave as nasty and disgusting as she does, calling people PUSSYs, which I just really don't. I cuss like a sailor. I hate that word. Calling people losers. She calls housewives desperate if they run for office. She mocks people. She calls people garbage humans. She calls people evil demons. It really does show the type of person that she is. And all of the people that surround her that she promotes or that get recognition, the majority of them tend to speak like that. I don't know if it's learned behavior, if they've been trained, or they're just nasty. Either way, it's disgusting. I've talked to you guys in Power of the Pen about her useless calls to action that pretty much gum up the system, get your emails blocked, which is really funny. Yesterday, I was told that never happens. If you've experienced that, you know what I'm talking about. When I was a California admin, I had multiple people share in the room that their emails were blocked by their representatives, which means you just cut off your own communication with the people that are elected to look out for you and to support you. Whether they do it or not, that's your avenue in your local communities for change. And when you spam them with hundreds of other people, they now put you in another category where your account is blocked and you cut out your own voice. Like I said, we shut down the GAO, the government accountability system. I think it's better now, but we definitely fortified it. We shut it down. The lawsuits, we'll see if something comes of any of them. But from what I've seen, there are a lot of lawsuits out there that are poorly written, and she encouraged this, not to get lawyers, file pro se. It doesn't really matter how good they are, what quality, what substance. There was just a push to file a bunch of messy lawsuits and flood the court. And we'll see what happens. Maybe something will stick, and that would be beautiful. But I think telling people that failure is a good thing over and over might not be the best way to go about filing lawsuits. I think it's probably best to file them with the intention to succeed and to learn how to do that process and learn how to bounce back from failure. But that's not something we really see in this community. What else? What else? Her run for office was a total fucking joke. These are the things I've been unpacking in hindsight. She says she's going to run in a year. She also says there's going to be no midterm elections. So, okay. And she runs. She doesn't try. She doesn't do her hair. She doesn't look good. She legitimately shows up, and everyone can go see this without trying whatsoever. Um, she makes these ridiculous claims about Hunter Biden's laptop that are, whether true or not, doesn't matter. It's pointless. It has done nothing to help our country. It's basically bragging rights for some dumb shit that's a distraction, that puts her in a category. She puts a big Q in her Secretary of State logo. So the of is a Q, just to make everyone look crazy, in my opinion. So everyone that's following her and voting her for her is now looked on as, a crazy Q conspiracy theorist. So I don't really see the point of that. She clearly wasn't serious about running. She said she was going to take all the votes in her state. And her state is actually, her county, I believe, has a huge number of independents. So I was like, maybe she will. And I believed her. Running independent, she's getting out of the two-party system. However you feel about that, I no longer give a shit about politics at this point. Not because of her, but because I never did. And I realized that it has caused me nothing but stress, looking through the lens of politics at the entire world. I am by no means telling people they shouldn't be a part of politics. I'm just being honest that I'm setting myself free from that. And I'd rather focus on other things like helping people through shit, healing, and whatever I feel drawn to or led to in the future. So she had no intention of running, wants to get out of the two-party system, which is fine. Didn't really work out well though. Let's be honest. And then later claims she wasn't going to win and she just wanted to get in the machines or something. I don't remember the exact quote. Someone was arguing for her that point the other day that, well, she never wanted to win. She just wanted to get in the machines. But she lied and told us she was going to win. Therefore, people wasted their vote on her, and that was never her intention. All the money that was raised for her was under false pretense that they thought she might actually become the SOS. Turns out she knew all along she wasn't going to. She just lied and took your money. At least that's how I see it. Sharp turn happened at some point, and a lot of people noticed. That's the one thing that most people say is right around, it's different for everyone. People noticed it, some of them a year and a half ago, some a year ago. Some we particularly noticed around when she started running. Seems to me like there was like a change in the script, or maybe her information source got cut off or something. But she started becoming way more about money, and she does like to keep her hands clean, but she will make sure that I don't know, there's a reason to feel sorry for her, and her admins will ask for money for her. The most recent was Grubhub gift cards because she was sick after being out of the hospital, and they're just pushing, send her a Grubhub gift card. Like, she's probably got thousands of dollars of Grubhub. Might eat for free for the next year, but hey, it is what it is. It kind of reminds me of being in church when we were pressured to give 10%. My church was specifically pressuring people more so subvertly to give 20%. And my mom was a secretary, so she knew that the majority of people gave 20% of their income to that church and that pastor. It just reminds me of that, where people are struggling and broke, but they feel a sense of obligation to give to this poor woman who is having health issues and just struggling in her life because she's such a victim. She doesn't have multiple places to live or a Tesla or fly around the country, staying at nice hotels whenever she needs to work or network, better said. Yeah. Since we started talking, she went behind a paywall. She has been hiding on locals. And it's kind of funny that she hasn't done a Rumble. My theory is we're doing her clips. Well, Brad is just posting clips of what she says, and her own words sound ridiculous for people with their eyes open. So I believe that she doesn't know how to sound not ridiculous. And her deceit is so transparent at this point that she's hiding in locals where she thinks we're not still able to see her. She said that she was making it subscriber only so that the trolls couldn't come in, which is total bullshit because one, you can't comment if you're not a subscriber. Well, then she changed it to if they're going to comment, make them pay. That still doesn't change anything. The point is, they couldn't comment unless they were paying anyway. So she shuts out people who can't afford it, is what happened. And if you go to her page under the comments when she decided to put herself behind a paywall, it was heartbreaking to see dozens and dozens of people saying, I'm sorry, I'm living check to check. I'm sorry, I'm living Social Security check to check. I'm sorry, I'm struggling to be able to afford dinner, Tori. I can't afford $5 or $6 or whatever dollars a month. It was really sad to watch. I've shared it on the Misfits channel. It broke my heart a little. And these people, a lot of them were apologizing to her. It was disgusting. And her response to that was to come back and to double down and talk shit to those people and say, I don't remember exactly what she said. I happened to catch it. It was something about all of those bitching about or complaining about not being able to afford it and da da da. She just goes on to talk shit. She calls people losers. She told people recently, for those who don't understand, for the losers that don't understand how government works or something like that. A lot of us don't fully understand how government works. You know, we're not losers. It's just a disgusting way to speak to your audience, and people have gotten so used to it because that's how everyone in that community with a position talks to people. It's become a culture of nastiness. And one thing that I realized is, like, when I was in a mentally abusive marriage, when I got out, I didn't realize how bad it was until the stress started to go away later. Because it's like the frog in the boiling water. It gets turned up slowly over time. And then you realize that you're allowing things to happen that are so wrong for so long that you're used to it and you actually think it's normal. That's how I would describe the Tory community. People are just used to it. You know, like one of her old admins, John, who is now a gatekeeper he's the guy trusted to let people back in, which is really sad. So there's a waiting room to get back in once you've been banned, where I've heard people aren't really being helped for the most part. But these people are literally like, I'm so sorry. What did I do? Please let me in. And it's, again, very sad to watch because it's, to me, feels like begging to be let back into prison. A place where you can't speak, where you have people treating you like shit if you have a free thought or you ask a question that's not allowed. But this guy, John, who is over her chat, once told me he would fuck me 8 ways from Sunday, to which Tori responded once it all started coming out that I defended myself. I believe she was referring to me. It was in a post regarding me. Her response was, that's anti-American and disgusting. Not to his words that had happened prior, but to me defending myself. So you get used to it. You get used to being spoken to in these ways. I'm going to read one of the messages that someone, Tori's admin, was in our chat last night. And, you know, I had a thought that maybe we could have a decent conversation. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I understand that you can be in that position and you can be shitty to people and you can change. And I've seen that before, that maybe you were manipulated. You just got a little in over your head. You got caught up in all the shit. You made bad choices. So I like to hold out hope that that's a possibility. So she's in the room yesterday calling me all kinds of names. I mean, I forget. I think at this point, I'm an op, I'm a fed. I think I was called a terrorist yesterday. And that one was new. I hadn't remembered that I had been called a terrorist before. And when I asked her, I was like, why did you call me a terrorist? Do you believe that or know that? She didn't know. She didn't have evidence. She goes, oh, I think Sai said it. So Tori's main creepy admin named psyops. This is where it's embarrassing for me that anyway, made this post that I feel like you guys should hear about me back in August. And this is why a new admin, who I assumed was a decent person up until recently, just takes and runs with. There's no truth in any of this. This is exactly how they talk. But I wanted to read it because it'll give you guys who maybe are an outsider, some of my friends who are watching this, of the kind of shit that they say. So this is Tori's right-hand person, or one of them. So this is the message I received from PsyOps after I defended two people in our state group who were being attacked in main chat, and they were being accused of being sovereign citizens, and they were claiming that they were not. It didn't matter either way. The point is, I defended their right to be there in California because I was an admin. I wouldn't ban them, and their right to speak. That's it. Just keep your rumors and your bullshit to yourself. The response to me, because I defended someone, two people actually, was this. I'm breaking out the all caps on this one. Ashley Joe, if you want to discuss terrorism, subversion of the US government, violent takeover of the USA, or any subject that this or any administration deems as a qualification as a domestic terrorist, you better do it somewhere else. If I catch you stirring shit up in here about it, I will boot your ass out of here so fast it will make your head spin. Granted, I shared a video about what I thought was a sovereign citizen thing that was violent with Tori that same day, I believe, and she reposted it, where I was like, is this the violence you're talking about? This doesn't look good. So he's not aware of this at this time. I'm drawing attention to how there could be something negative. I don't know that now or believe that, but at the time I was very impressionable. I was like, are these those dirty sovereign citizens? So I was calling it out, but anyway, I'm now in the role of encouraging it, which is incredible. Any idiot knows, and this may or may not include you, as I'm not judging you, as I stated. How sweet. Thank you. That discussion of the aforementioned subjects creates a 4chan-like environment that makes the whole look as bad as the small amount of rotten that are here, just to taint the many. That's fun, because it is interesting how a small amount, and we saw it yesterday with one woman in our room for 13 hours, making the whole thing rotten and killing all of the positivity that was there. So I agree with you. The few can really fuck up the many. Anyway, I have no problem standing up for those who have no part in this kind of information sharing, best relegated to the dark web. It is my job and that of the admins of these groups to protect the rest of the members from those who may infiltrate our ranks and discuss issues like that and make the rest look like a bunch of anachronistic, I don't know what that means. I'm gonna have to look it up. Anarchic, atheistic, subversive, atheistic. That means you can't be an atheist? Am I wrong on that? Anyway. Subversive traitors by the very subjects that they inject into the conversations. This may or may not pertain to you. Your actions moving forward will decide. Ooh, so I'm getting warned for my future crimes. It's Minority Report. You will not, and this means explicitly you, cause the people in these groups to appear as terrorists by speaking about things as volatile as bomb making, poison creation, murder processes, violence towards others, drug manufacturing, or domestic terrorism of any sort, whether intended or implied. And that's it. Yeah, okay. So I was standing up for people, and he was calling them sovereign citizens, I believe. I've seen it happen a lot in there. He definitely DM'd me that I had a big sovereign citizen problem in my state group. So he's calling them sovereign citizens, and he's telling me that I shouldn't be causing the people in these groups to appear as terrorists by speaking about these things. I never spoke about bombs, poison, murder. I want you guys to understand, this is a community of people under the guise of we're here to save our country. And these are the admins and the way that they speak to people who stick up for their friend or call out when money goes missing or ask a question that's not allowed when they see a flaw in something Tori said. You become terrorist. All of the things you just heard, you get your name attached with slander, with crimes, with violence. It's defamation in such a ridiculous way. This is what happens. These are the people that Tori employs, whether volunteer or not, that she has as her most trusted. When we try to find a space to come down from putting up with this, like I said, we got used to this kind of talk. And now we're kind of like inching our way out into the open to be like, hey, that was really fucked up. You went through that too? Oh, wait, what'd they call you? And you start to laugh about the fact that you're all secret feds that you don't know about. That the same things happen across the board, that it's not just an isolated incident in one state. You find camaraderie. You start to realize like, this is a whole thing. This is intended to fail. I had a friend once tell me that this was top-down infiltration, and she assumed from the admin level down. That's usually as far as most people get, is the admin level down, top-down infiltration. What people don't understand, but many, many are now, is that there's a tip of the pyramid, and she has a name. Once we create a space for this, it's not enough that we have a space. It's not enough that we talk. It's not enough that we are having our own thing going on. No. They just keep on coming. Which makes it even more dark and nefarious. You can't just let people be and live. And there's a lot of people that are very triggered and angry that we're calling out Tori. There's a lot of really good digs happening on her. A lot of truth coming out. Really weird shit. Or just simply laughing about all the predictions she's made that never came true, of which there are many, many, many. They're not happy with us having those conversations. A lot of people are personally feeling very protective of Tori, not understanding she is a public figure, that she has run for office, she has become a candidate, and therefore is completely wide open to public scrutiny and should be looked into, because we should look into all the people that we vote for and entrust to have any part of our system, especially on a local level, especially for a job as important as Secretary of State. So those people are just going to have to deal with it. And she's going to have to deal with the consequences of her actions. Right now, she is talking openly about Brad on her show and others. I think she won't touch me with a 10-foot pole because she knows why. I feel confident that I know why as well. But she likes to go after people who she believes are an easy target. People who are angry, people who are associated with someone that she can make look bad. Whatever she's got to do, she's going to do it. I believe this woman is engaging in elder abuse. I've seen her defame people. We'll see if it comes out in the courts, but I've definitely seen her say things about people that appears as defamation to me, because these people had businesses that were affected. So we'll see what happens on that front. I wish those people well, and I hope they light her ass up, figuratively, legally. Like I said earlier, my conclusion, my thoughts is that she is running an operation. If she was a contractor, I believe she still is. I believe, these are all theories, that her whole 7 years, I guess she said a while back, like four or so years ago, that she'd be gone in 7 years. I don't know what that means. She claims to know when she's going to die, but to me, it sounds like when the job's over and she's on to the next job. Or she doesn't exist. Maybe screwing over some other country in a costume. Who knows? Time will tell. She's a time traveler. It's hard to keep track. Also, she doesn't exist. So there's that. I realized today that I'm ready to walk away very soon. I'm not going to do any more interviews. I've canceled the ones that I had scheduled. I've seen enough into her world and the darkness of it to know that I'm ready to be done, because it is doing nothing but sucking me back in on some kind of level. My energy is given, and I give of these things willingly, but it just occurred to me the more that I stay, I'm consenting to something that's wrong, and I no longer want to do that. So I'm going to stick around in Brad's chat for another week or so, make sure that we kind of get a little system to get rid of these people when they try to come in and shit all over everyone else. Because you can't have that, you know. I like to say I believe in free speech, but closed borders. So if Telegram was a country, or if our chat was a country, close that shit up and act right. We got rules. That's another thing that people don't understand is we've been under such harsh rules that everyone's terrified of rules now. And it's like, you can't just invite anyone into your home, you know? I believe in free speech and compassion and love, but I'm not going to invite some random dude to come over to my house and just take all my shit. So there is a place for some kind of a structural guideline, especially as you're trying to move forward and you have a very specific purpose, especially for people who just went through a lot of trauma. And I'm not saying everyone is in the trauma phase. Some of the dudes are just like, whatever, brush themselves off. They're fine. Let's move forward and save our country. There's a lot of people who don't feel that way, and they're not there yet, and they are traumatized. And when you get one of her little minions coming in with her psychological games, it actually reopens old wounds and are wounds that haven't healed yet. And so I'm very not okay with that. And I'm very protective of that. I am starting to get very excited for everything, period. Tori, I don't need to uncover her. I don't need to do any of that shit. I believe in karma. I believe that we all have our own soul contract in this place. We all make our decisions, and that everything balances itself over time. So she's going to go ahead and deal with her own consequences. I don't have to go out there and fight that battle. The people who are, mad respect. I love it. And I hope she pays for everything she's done. I truly do. And I don't care how harsh that sounds. I see no remorse at all. I very rarely see humanity that's genuine, that's not some kind of a front for some kind of a sympathy play for some kind of fucking money or ego drive or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm coming out of my final stage. The anger is still there, but it's way better. The anger for the admin subsided, and now it's starting to subside for Tori. And that's nothing to do with her and everything about me being free and coming to the place of acceptance and moving on with everything just happened. I think differently about everything right now. I'm thinking back that this is not just closing a chapter on my time with this ridiculous influencer. It is closing a chapter that started in 2020. I believe that the awakening was one of the most incredible experiences of many of our lives in good and bad ways. It's one thing, it's beautiful to see and to start to see the man behind the curtain, the emperor has no clothes, that all of this was bullshit. It's good to know that and be aware of it. But then to have these people come in, suddenly show up and hijack our minds and offer solutions when we were super vulnerable and ripe for the picking, that's when they show up. When people need something, when they need help. That's why we went into our little branches. We went to our X22s and our whatever Patriot radio personality, talk show, podcast, meetup, whatever it is, the person that you decided to follow, you believed. And this has happened across the globe, to everyone on a level, to those of us who are awake. They hijacked our shit. I believe that we saw because something beautiful is coming and we needed to see. And then we were taken advantage of when we were broken, when we were mourning the loss of friends and shattered realities and losing some of us jobs. These motherfuckers showed up across the board, all the same. I think that Tori is one of the most nefarious, disgusting, manipulative, deceitful ones of them all. But that's personal because I was in her community. And I've seen the level of how dark it really gets. But it doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all participating in the same goal. These little influencer wars they have, they're bullshit. They just are. They get each other to boost each other's followers. They get people to draw attention to one another. I believe they probably have people pay for guest spots on their shows. I don't know. All I know is like Patrick Byrne didn't have a big following, and now he's pushed by Tori for a while, and now his locals is mostly Tori people. So I don't know. Did he get some followers for money, or did she just help a brother out? Either way, these people are all connected to dark shit, period. There's no way you can escape it. So I just saw it was just obvious. It was across the board. And I believe that right now we are having a second awakening because we've been through so much shit for 3 years. And now people are awakening out of that layer of bullshit. And being like, wait, I didn't trust the MSM and all these people, but now I don't trust any of you who just showed up with a following one night. So that's good. That's good. And now I feel like we're all entering into this open field and we can do whatever we want. And for me, I'm remembering who I was before my mind got hijacked when I started to awaken. I was so happy. Ignorance is bliss. And I'm not saying ignorance is the answer, but I was so happy in my life. I was in my body. I would dance for fun. I loved music. Our life was laying under the stars every single night, no matter what. We'd have blankets in the winter laying under the stars, just memorizing all of them. I was happy. So happy. And then the world went to shit. And then I believed that someone was there to help. And I trusted someone who didn't do a single thing to change anything about my state on a real noticeable level. And in fact, that entire situation that I was involved in was doing everything in their fucking power to thwart anyone's efforts who were actually getting things done without shame, like clockwork. It was so well orchestrated. So now what? The light at the end of the tunnel. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. When I left my ex-husband, the one with the mental abusive bullshit, I gained all this weight. It was like stress weight, and I was eating the healthiest I ever had eaten. I couldn't drop a single pound. Second I left him, I started eating cheeseburgers and fries, and I dropped like 30 pounds in a couple weeks. It was all cortisol induced stress that I didn't even realize I felt. I was just in a fight or flight state of panic for years straight. And then my body, which was previously constipated, immediately no problems there. And I dropped that weight like overnight. That's how I knew, whoa, I was holding on to some shit. in this process coming out, I noticed I weighed myself a couple weeks ago. And then I looked at my body the other day after the shower and I was like, that looks different. And I haven't done anything. I haven't eaten better, nothing. I dropped 7 pounds in like a week and a half. And I was like, it's happening again. My body is saying, yes, you're doing something right. Keep going. It's balancing out, it's leveling out, and I'm excited. I think that as much as we see the things that are going on in the world that are wrong, it's really important to remember it's going to be okay. Things might get worse, yeah. But in the scope of the human experience, from its beginning till now, things have been worse than they are now, and they've been better. At the end of the day, kind of live in a prison planet. But the more we look at these people, whether it be influencers or our government or whatever, as though they have this power over us, the more we feed that mentality with our fear, our constant fear, the more we create a prison of our own mind. And people like Tori who are sitting around telling you, it's your fault. You were picking out backsplash. This is your fault. You did this shit. You haven't done enough. When things don't change the way she predicts, then all of a sudden it's our fault because we didn't do enough. And that's an abusive tactic that the churches use to keep people in line. It's all to demoralize you and make you feel that life is one horrible, that everything is going to shit. Every day of your life, if you look at the world that way, you're going to get sick. You're going to get depressed. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to become no fun to those around you because that's all you want to talk about. You're going to lose friends. Your health is going to decline, everything. I've felt it all. I've talked to people that already feel it. A really good friend of mine gave up 8 years of sobriety because of Tori. And hey, Grant and all the other lawyers, I'm not saying Tori did that on purpose. I'm saying, in her words, because of her experience there, that's what the effect was. It's not a fucking joke. These people are evil. They want you to feel powerless. They want you to think that political whatever is the only way to salvation is through this corrupt system, and that somehow using that corrupt system is going to fix it. Maybe. And there's a lot of people who listen to this who are still in that vein. Okay, do it. I support you. Make sure you have joy in the middle, though. Make sure that you feel passionate about the thing you're doing. You're not just doing some shit someone told you to do. Make sure that it feels right to you. Because if you don't enjoy it, it's probably not going to go anywhere. If you don't care about it, it's not going to go anywhere. If it's based in fear and panic, is it worth it? Find your peace. I'm still figuring out how. That situation last night was a beautiful reminder of being in that argument, even though I was trying to kind of see the humor in it and like mock it a little bit and hopefully like point out some dumb shit. My adrenaline's going. I'm totally wrapped up in it. There's a part of me that loves it. I don't know why, because it's like a video game. You almost feel like you're actually engaging in something. Like if you win this argument, you actually win something, which never happens. It's ongoing forever. It never stops. I felt like a junkie. I felt like an addict. It was gross. I felt like my mind was like in a cloud. And I was telling a friend today, like, this is really unhealthy. And that's when I realized today, I'm like, there's nothing there. This is not good. This is what they love. They want to keep you low, 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 low. They're obsessed with you. They're obsessed with you because you're powerful. They're obsessed with you, especially when you're free. Can't be having freedom going around spreading like a wildfire in a community that's all about control. You are dangerous to them. I'm dangerous to them just by being me, because their intentions aren't good. period. It's plain as day. And if their intentions are good, they need to zoom out and understand how much damage they're actually causing. They get off on it. They love it. Be different. More importantly, enjoy your life. Give yourself permission to enjoy your life. And you're going to have to relearn it. When politics and these savior influencers are the only way you see the world, it takes time. And there's a natural tendency to go find someone else or find something else, you know. Careful. Don't just find yourself and like trust yourself. For me, I can't even look at the news right now. Like all of it. I've spent 3 years obsessed with politics and digging on all this shit, and I'm so tired. I'm like, no. I'm gonna get obsessed with nature and my home and my friends and my boyfriend and my puppy dog. And we're gonna get back to living our lives. We're going to get back to where we started, only with this incredible wealth of knowledge, with eyes wide open, way less susceptible to fall for another prankster or a little swindler out there trying to sell us stuff. We don't want the snake oil anymore from snakes with glasses. So that's kind of my finale. I'm not out of it. I'd say I have about another week. This next week is boundaries set, is helping others as far as just making sure there's a space. That's it. I can't help anyone, but I can kind of hold down the fort and make sure that the wolves don't just come in. They had their playtime for like a month and it's just, you're done now. You guys fucked it up. Sorry, you're over. You're gonna have to go bitch about us somewhere else. We don't care. And then eventually I will see myself probably just out of the whole phone world. This thing is not a place to live your life. I'm talking to myself here. Just being honest. It's going to take a minute to break that one. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe I'll do what I used to do. For 3 or 4 months a year, every year, I would shut off all my apps and my phone just got boring and I wouldn't touch it. I haven't done that since 2020. So I think I'm due for some major detox and social media exiting soon. But I will keep Misfits open no matter what, even if I transfer ownership. There should always be a place for the people that are breaking free. And so that place will always be there. But yeah, so that's my story. That's my thoughts on Tori. She's definitely left a mark. Not a good one. And anything good that she offered at any point in time was probably plagiarized or ripped from some YouTube channel or some book or something that she didn't actually have part in. And maybe the good stuff that she did bring to the table was hers, but it was eventually useless in my life. I haven't seen anything other than full of knowledge, lacking in wisdom as a result of being in this space. The tree of the fruit is rotten. It's not healthy. If you're in the community, you're watching this, just be an asshole. Do you feel healthy and happy? Is your fruit good? Do you think the tree is bearing good fruit in your life, in your community? I can't answer that for you. Maybe it's the best thing ever. Maybe you're really happy and good and nothing but good things have happened to you since you found Tori. Then by all means, don't let me sway you of anything or convince you of anything. But yeah, that's where it lies. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm grateful for it all. Never want to do it again. I think my favorite thing that has come out of this, other than the incredible friendships, is I will never look to anyone to lead me again. I will never put someone else's mind over or above my own instincts and my own mind. I want to come to my own conclusions based on my experience and the way that I am an expression in the world. And my conclusions could be different from someone else's, and that's okay. I just want to explore life openly, freely by myself. I'm tired of other people's opinions. I'm tired of their voices. I'm tired. I don't want to listen to anyone right now unless today I was watching reaction videos on Tool songs. It's like my favorite thing to do because I'm so obsessed with the band that you listen to it so much that I started just watching everyone who's reacted to their songs ever to see them love the band for the first time. And it was super therapeutic while I was cleaning my house to hear people, because I get to hear my songs and then I get to hear people be like, oh my God, this is so awesome. But like I was scrolling through, I was cleaning up my YouTube subscriptions today. It's all these influencers. There's so many. I only got through like half of them. I'm removing all of these people. I'm just like, why was I even caring about their opinions this whole time? Doesn't matter. Who cares what they think? Who gives a shit? Like, I care what I think. And I'm going to find that again. I'm going to find myself again, devoid of people in my head and in my ear. But anyway, this has been quite the journey. Like I said, my mom is we're going to do a little more laughing, lighthearted one, just decompressing to wrap it up, a little bonus episode 11. I can't wait to hear her thoughts. I'm going to ask her questions I haven't asked her. I want to share some things about her because she was very pivotal in my journey this whole time. And I started having specific dreams that I'm going to share with you guys about the community that my mom was in, that started coming true and being kind of a gauge for me walking through this experience. So I'm excited to talk about that. But yeah, it's just time. It's time to wrap it up. Thank you to everyone who was a guest. You're so awesome. Your courage has affected so many lives. You have no idea. If you don't hear the stories, I do. I hear them all the time. And every one of you resonated with people in a different way. That's how beautiful this was. You got your angry people, you got your hurt people, you got your all types, but every one of your story hit someone and touched someone's life in a different way. And so it's so powerful when you speak up and have the courage. So thank you. I also just wanted to share how I really feel about Tori. There's been a lot of love for her in this series, and I wanted to tell the truth. I think you are a snake. I know you are a liar. But that's your karma to work out. My only hope is that people will see it and break free. And they already are. And bitch, you might have demoted me because I was standing up for people. And I was for free speech when you were actually not. But I bet you're kicking yourself a little bit over that one because it took a lot of motherfuckers with me. And I do thoroughly enjoy that I got to do that. Courage is contagious. Live in the light. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed the series. I'm going to shut the hell up now. And everyone have a beautiful day.